Hey there, I forgot my tea. I really did. Hold on, I will be right back. Happy Prime Day, by the way. We're going to talk Amazon Prime today. We're going to talk Doctor Who. We're going to talk a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about the new Rob Zombie trailer. I just got to go grab my tea. I'll be right back. Got to get past my computer. Because I figure we're going to be talking about something. Hey, Brian, welcome, dude. Cubic Lover. We're going to talk about something as on Prime Day and go through the twisty turns of what exactly it is. Hey, Corey, welcome back. Haven't seen you in a while. Basically, once a year, Amazon has their big blowout sale, which is Amazon Prime Day. It's their version of Black Friday. Here, my cat apparently loves Amazon Prime Day. Now, when I first woke up this morning and I went on Amazon, I didn't see anything. Hey, George. Hey, Andy. I didn't see anything that interested me at all. And I looked at the prices, and the prices didn't look that good. Like they had like these, okay, this is on sale at this price. But they looked to be like fairly regular prices. Being an idiot, like I am at first, especially when I wake up early in the morning, what I didn't realize is that you had to click on the item, and then underneath in very small wording is the actual Prime Day price. So you think you put the Prime Day price like really up front so that they get people in there and to get people buying, right? But for some things, but not for everything. For most things, actually, you got to click on the item and it'll show you the prime price down below. The thing that I was most interested in was the Doctor Who. The put out season, well, the first Tom Baker season of Doctor Who, his last season, because he ran for 7 years, his seventh run season of Doctor Who, seventh series, as will be in England. And you do have to be a member of Amazon Prime, but you can sign up for like a free day trial, like Murdersville's mentioned right there. You can sign up for like a free day trial of for Amazon Prime, and to avail of the sale. A lot of people do that around Amazon Prime Day. They'll sign up for a free trial. I did that, and I realized I used Amazon Prime so much. I bought so much from Amazon, and I watched their streaming service way more than I watched a lot of the other streaming services. That includes Netflix, by the way. And the shows were just better. Like, you know, we got like American Gods, Good Omens, Fleabag, stuff like that, which comes on Amazon Prime. And a lot of the old like shows that I used to watch, like Hunter and Silk Stockings, and like just the cheesy TV shows. And then there's like documentaries that I really like that they don't have on Netflix. We have like Amazon Prime is my favorite out of like out of the regular kind of like streaming services, like, you know, not including like the Shutters or the Criterions, but out of the regular, if I had to put like Netflix up against Amazon Prime, Amazon Prime wins it every day for me. There's just more of an eclectic mix of programming. Anyway, so the sale is going on, and there's like a bunch of stuff going on. If you're, you know, if you want like Amazon stuff, you know you're going to get that. You know that's going to be like, that's a given, right? If you want to, this is the day. If you want a Fire Stick, you want to buy like a Kindle, you want to buy like an Echo Dot, you want to buy stuff like that. They do have a lot of Vinegar Syndrome titles, the stream. You're right about that, Mike. They got a lot of that stuff. A lot of the stuff that you wouldn't see other places. A lot of the, what you call the Cinemax titles, the Skinemax, as some people call them. A lot of those titles you'll see show up on Amazon Prime. And like they have a lot of like really kind of really quality stuff. Oh, do they? On some Criterion stuff? Now for me, well, you're in England, right? I know you're in England. For us over here in Canada, the big thing for, I'm a huge Whovian. I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. I'm a Whovian. I grew up with Doctor Who. Some of the first, you know, like things that I ever watched like religiously on television was Doctor Who. To the point where I would like watch it over again. And once VHS became a thing and I had like tapes, I would be taping like shows on PBS late night, so I could rewatch like Earthshock and Pyramids of Mars, Deadly Assassin, Genesis of the Daleks, stuff like that, right? I'd watch that over and over again. That was massively important to me, and I don't think I can do Amazon Prime this year. It's a tight year, but they got the 12th season series, which is series one for Tom Baker, of Doctor Who on sale for $39. It's already out of stock. They got his last season, which is on sale, which we'll call season 7 here. Did I see Doctor Who that never got recorded? Do you mean Shada? I think you're talking about Shada. Yeah, I have. That's the one with Tom Baker and Layla Ward, right? Is it Layla Ward as Romana? That's the one that basically they didn't get to finish. So if you watch the Five Doctors with Peter Davison, you know that scene you see with Doctor Who and Romana? That's from Shada. That's from the unfinished one. Of course, that was finished, with animation. First, they used flash animation to do it, and then they did like a regular hand-drawn animation, and they put it out on its own. Initially, it was a flash one that was put out, and it was put on a set called, I got it over there somewhere actually, where they put it with the documentary as well. A lot of them weren't saved, man. In the first two Doctors, the first two people that played Doctor Who, William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton, a lot of theirs got taped over. It got like, because back then there was no VHS, there was no like people buying videotapes or anything like that. So a lot of their stuff was taped over, or it was because they would reuse the tapes. So the only way a lot of that stuff got saved, and later on you'd find that like you'd hear oh, another Doctor Who episode was found, or another Doctor Who serial that series of episodes was found, was basically because they had sold the episodes. Exactly, they had saved money, but they sold some of the episodes to other countries, like over in like Arabia, over in like Abu Dhabi, or over like in or North Africa, or areas like that. They sold a lot of the episodes. Doctor was very popular. It was very cheap to buy, and it was a serialized show, so you could buy a lot of episodes. Might you know your Doctor Who. Now, what would happen later on is after when you get to the John Pertwee, we're into the 70s. That's when it goes color, right? So then we got all the episodes from then on. If they had an episode where they didn't no longer had the tapes for it, they usually had the audio recording of the episode. They still had the audio portion of it, even when they didn't have the video. So what you're seeing with some of the episodes that are completely lost is you're seeing that they're doing animation. They're doing animated versions. Hey, Horror Legend, how's it going? They're doing like animated like episodes with using the original audio track. I do, and I think a lot of that is because I'm older, and I'm from the wild. I lived through the wilderness years. Oh, really? Nice. And if you don't watch Doctor Who, then you don't know. If you're not a Doctor Who fan, you don't know what the wilderness years means, more than likely. But what that means is, in '89, Doctor Who was canceled. Doctor Who would not come back on the air regularly until 2005, when it was rebooted. Not rebooted, but like it was continued on, which is amazing. That is awesome. It was continued on in 2005 with Russell T Davies. Later, with Moffat writing a few of the stories, and Moffat would later take over, and now we're into Chris Chibnall's era of Doctor Who. That's the guy that did, oh God, what's the name of that show? What's the name of the show I'm talking about, guys? That Chibnall did. About the kid that gets killed. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember it. Love Doctor Who, excellent. That's a massively amazing show. But yeah, the Wilderness Years was from 1989 to around 2004, 2005. Because basically what happened during that time period is we didn't have any Doctor Who. Broadchurch, thank you, Mercer. That's exactly the show I'm talking about. And I could not remember the name of it. I love the show, by the way. Now, during that time period, there was no Doctor Who to watch. And it was only later that you get the tapes come on. So you'd get like, you'd buy books and you'd get like the new Who Adventures, you get like stuff like that and you read about it. And eventually the Big Finish would come around. And Big Finish was this like little company and they made these audio adventures of Doctor Who. Like, you know, like radio dramas, like audio adventures of Doctor Who. They became so popular that they actually were able to get 3 of the doctors to come on and do the show, to do their audio adventures. So you got to see the continuation of like, I don't know, let's see who it was now when it started. It was, in the Big Finish ones, it was Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, and I think Peter Davison. Yeah, Peter Davison, yeah, because Tom Baker came years later. I don't have any Hamilton books in my area, unfortunately. Doctor Who. But the question is, Doctor Who? Oh, online, I've actually never really thought of it. Like, I've seen them. I've been on Amazon, on Hamilton Books website. But I definitely have to check them out. I got to check it with shipping. Shipping's the thing for me, right? Key here in Canada. So during this time period, all you had was like books and audio tapes, right? These audio tapes, these CDs, right? That you can experience from. And there'd be the Doctor Who magazine. And there'd be like a comic strip in the magazine. In 1996, Fox got together with the BBC and they tried to bring Doctor Who back. They did an Americanization of, did he really? Oh, Delgado, for anybody that doesn't know, played the Master, which was the Doctor's arch nemesis. Think of Moriarty with Sherlock Holmes, and that's exactly who the Master is. Later played, of course, by Michelle Gomez and John Sims as the Master. Now, they did this one-off movie, which was meant to be a pilot for a TV series. And it had Paul McGann, who I guess a lot of people knew at the time from Alien 3. That was I knew him from a little movie called Paper Mask, which is what I'd seen him in before, which was was a thriller. Basically, ironically, Paul McGann plays a doctor in Paper Mask. Well, he plays a guy that worked really hard, to become a doctor, to be a doctor, but he flunked. He couldn't get into medical school. And he comes across, it's been a long time since I've seen this, so if I get some of this wrong, I do apologize. So he comes across this person on the road who's dying. And it's a guy that's going into this town, this new town, to become a doctor at this hospital. And all his credentials, all his papers, all his paperwork, and all that stuff, all that's there. It's on him. And Paul McGann, I can't remember his character's name now, sees it. And his dream is right there. Like, he can go. Like, nobody knows him in this town. He can go to this town. He's got these papers. This is pre-internet time, right? He can go in, he can just say, hi, I'm such and such a guy. I got all the paperwork. I got all the identification. And he does. He goes in and he becomes a doctor. And ironically, right now, Judy Whittaker, the girl that's playing the Doctor in the new series of Doctor Who, she starred on a series just before she got the role of Doctor Who, and actually it ran around the same time. It was a really great show. It didn't last too long. Called that's okay. You can talk about anything you want to do. That's why it's here. She did a show called Trust Me, and in that she is, I think, like a nurse. But she moves out of town with her daughter, basically, and she becomes a doctor. She pulls the wools over people's eyes, and she becomes a doctor. Behind me, what you're seeing right behind me, right there. A lot of that is like Arrow. That whole shelf right there is Arrow stuff, all the way down, and up above is like some Arrow box sets and some indicators too. I collect indicator Not a lot of the Indicator regular releases, unfortunately, not yet. They're very kind of expensive, but I do collect the Indicator box sets so far. 12 regular Doctors. So yeah, to put them in order for people that that kind of wanted to know, or that's interested in it. It was William Hartnell who played the Doctor first. He played him as a kind of the crouchy, grandfathery type character. And Doctor Who was basically as a character where they did an ingenious thing. They knew that the same person he couldn't play his role forever. He was sick. He had a lot of like issues when playing the Doctor. So they decided where it's oh thanks, it's my Deadpool shirt. There's actually stuff in the back, but I'll show you afterwards. This is where usually when I'm working out or something that I wear this. So they decided, in order to make the Doctor work, in order to make this show last, this is an alien. They could do whatever they wanted to, right? So what they could have done, what normally would be done for a TV series or a soap or anything like that, right, is you get a guy that looks similar, and he plays the role, and he's like the new character. They didn't do that for Doctor Who. They decided that what's going to happen is every time that the Doctor like really gets like dies, he regenerates. And when he regenerates, he becomes a totally new person. He's not gonna, and not only that, but the way he acts is going to be different. He's not going to be reliant on he's not going to be acting like he acted before. He's not going to look at all. He's not going to have the same shape, the same size as he was before. It was one of the most genius moves for science fiction that you can imagine, man. UK Steelbooks. Oh God, there's a girl, Lawrence Collection, I think, that does she has a lot. She's a younger lady. She has a lot of Doctor Who stuff. Oh man, just eventually you'll find the one that you like. So anyway, so William Hartnell was the first one. He played him as kind of a crouchy old grandfathery type character. He got more likable as he went through, but he starts out as a pretty abrasive character, right? Then you get into your second Doctor, Patrick Troughton. Troughton was more of a physical, comedic type of actor in general. So when he played the role, he had this kind of like more comedic, this bowl kind of cut, Beatles type cut hairstyle, and he had a pipe, and he was very, very much the kind of the eccentric, the clown, which he played things very funny and slightly cowardly, but in actuality he was very cunning. That was the big thing with him. And his big companion, where most of them at this time, they mostly had they at least had a couple companions. They'd have a guy in there for doing more of the physical work, and they'd have a girl in there, and because this is not as it is today. They'd say Doctor, what is that? Or Doctor, what do you mean? Or Doctor, what are dialects? That type. Basically they'd take the place of the audience members. So Jamie was this Scottish kind of guy that comes into the role, and I actually got to meet him, the guy that played Jamie. He's really, really sweet, by the way. You are missing a lot. Don't listen to Crabsley. So we get to the third one, John Pertwee, and this is when I think it really, really starts to change. And John Pertwee at the time, things like the Avengers and James Bond was becoming really big. So this Doctor is the first Doctor in color. Now, before it's been in black and white. And in black and white, one thing black and white can do is when you're low budget, you can hide a lot of low budget stuff, a lot of shot effects and stuff in black and white. That's going to become more apparent in color. So they decided to go into color, and it was a risk. But when they did that, one of the great things is they decided they were going to, hey Javid, they're going to ground this Doctor, because for people that don't know, the Doctor Who goes in a TARDIS, which means time and relative dimensions in space. It's a time machine, and he can go through time. His adventures are going through time. Sometimes they're historical, sometimes they're in the far-flung reaches of space. There's definitely quite a mix of what you can do, especially with when you're running with the stories like that. Me too, Javid. I actually just talked about that. So John Pertwee was, for most of his run, was on Earth. He wasn't, the TARDIS didn't work. He was relegated to Earth by the Time Lords, who we learned about in the War Games, which was the last episode. It was a long serial, actually, from Patrick Troughton. And basically, that's the only time ever that he basically is given the option to choose his face, right? Because normally you don't. He did not win that debate. But high five anyway. But anyway, so then we get into who everybody growing up would think of as Doctor Who, and that is Tom Baker. If you were to watch The Simpsons when you were younger, they would reference Tom Baker a lot, right? The film noir episode is my next one that I'm doing, Jevin. I'm actually looking forward to that. It's the hat and the scarf and the teeth. And whereas the other actors were known for like a lot of other things, like John Pertwee, he'd done other things and would go on to do like, Grummage and characters like that. Tom Baker will forever be entrenched as Doctor Who. And a lot of that is paramountly key to his early stuff. Not only did he come into the role and say, okay, I'm taking this as he was the longest running. He ran for 7 years actually as the Doctor. I'm just going to come in. He said, I'm going to come in and I'm going to take this as I'm an alien. Other people played the Doctor, the script, but Tom Baker went beyond. He went a step beyond with his portrayal of the role. He mentions in an interview, right, that he said there's one time, he said he comes in and he takes up this glass of water and he sniffs it, and the director's like, "Why did you do that?" He said, that's not in the script. He said, well, where you're from, here on Earth, if somebody gives you a glass of water or something like that, you drink it. He said, now, in an alien culture, things can be totally different. Maybe the polite thing to do is to sniff the glass of water. And it was just like little touches, little things that he did, little eccentricities that he had within himself that he brought to the character that made it good. And I think one of the great things about that, marriage to female sidekick, yeah, for a short period of time, but he actually helped her find her husband afterwards too, the one that she's married to now. He introduced them, but he worked with great writers, and great directors. Robert Holmes, Philip Hinchcliffe, fantastic producer. Robert Holmes was a fantastic writer. He wrote Gothic era. Robert Holmes was, if you like Hammer, if you're a big fan of Hammer and Gothic style stuff, if you like the Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing and that, Robert Holmes also liked Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing and Hammer, and that comes across in that era of Doctor Who. You get to see a lot of this Holmesian stuff, and it's really dark. It's a lot darker. There's a lot more kind of more gothic horror aspects to Doctor Who during Tom Baker's time. That's when you really get stuff like that. It's my favorite Doctor Who episode. It's really hard to say. I think one of the greatest Doctor Who episodes of all time is Genesis of the Daleks. I'd say that to this day. Deadly Assassin is one of my personal favorites, though. It's the only Doctor Who episode, serial, that was done in the original series where he doesn't have a companion. There's no companion in that one. In every other episode that he ever does, every other series he ever does, there's a companion, whether it's Sarah Jane or Layla or Perry or Ace. Peter Cushing, it was different. I mean, obviously they went with a different direction. That'd be awesome. I would love to be there. And Peter Davison, now here's the Doctor. We'll get to that in a second. So Peter Davison is the 5th Doctor. After Tom Baker leaves after 7 years, I got to start from episode 1 of that one. Hey, let's talk. How's it going? Amazon Prime Day's here, man. And now we're going through a little bit of Doctor Who because there's some Doctor Who stuff that I find really exciting today that I can't get. So I'm torturing myself. 5th Doctor is Peter Davison. Now, Peter Davison was famous before for doing a series called All Creatures Great and Small. If you're older like me, you remember that, right? You remember All Creatures Great and Small. But he went on to be like the youngest guy to ever play the Doctor. And because of that, because he was the youngest actor to play the Doctor, they hedged their bets. So what they did with that was they put a lot of companions into the TARDIS with him. Flash Gordon, that's a good. That was good. Flash Gordon was cool. Buster Crab. Yeah, that's the thing. He was a huge star, but people were really concerned about him becoming the Doctor because he was so young. They thought he was too young to be the Doctor. They were wrong. Actually, he did a great job. I was nervous when Peter Davison became the Doctor because it was new. I was a huge Tom Baker fan, and there was this new guy coming in. But I grew to like him like almost immediately. The one trade-off that you got when it comes from from Tom Baker to Peter Davison, I haven't seen it yet. I got to see it. Is that basically what happens is there's a character by the name of Adric, right? Who's like this young kind of like mathematician from like this other dimension type of thing that comes in the TARDIS with him. And him and Tom Baker had this really like kind of cool combative chemistry, right? It works. It worked well. Unfortunately, when you recast the lead role, like Peter Davison took over, for some reason, Adric just didn't work with Peter Davison, and let's just say it didn't work out well for Adric. We'll leave with that. It didn't work out well for the character of Adric. After that, we had Colin Baker, who was the most controversial at the time Doctor Who. And with Colin Baker, basically what we got was was someone that wanted to be in it for the long haul. He wanted to beat the 7-year run. That was his thing. He went in with a lot of passion. Nobody had been as passionate about playing the Doctor since Tom Baker. This is Colin Baker. Colin Baker loved the character. And he was gone in 2 years. Basically in 2 series. He did 2 series. He did the first series, and then he did the Trial of Time Lord. Another time we'll talk more in depth on Colin Baker. I'll do like a Doctor Who centric episode on each of the Doctors, because Colin Baker is fascinating. You're talking about Perry, aren't you? And Perry is utterly gorgeous, man. That was one of my. He got fired. Not by the producer, not by John Nathan Turner, but at the time, Michael Grade was the head of BBC. And I don't like to speak ill the dead, but Michael Grade's an asshole. And he did everything that he could during this time period to get the show canceled, including like taking it off the air for 18 months while he thought about retooling it. That's where you get Doctor in Distress from. If you don't know what that is, look it up, because it's hilariously bad. And in the end, he said, we're going to bring it back, after the Trial of Time. It's going to get another season, but I think, he's had his time. He's done his 3 series as Doctor Who. He's done his few years. And like, no, he hasn't. We were off for 18 months, so he's really done like a truncated like series, and the 1 series before. He was also the first Doctor to do hour-long episodes. Anyway, so he got let go, and they asked him to come back to do like the regeneration scene, like every Doctor does, and he said, "Screw you," which I would have said too. And then came in Sylvester McCoy, and Sylvester McCoy, who a lot of people know from like, who was generally thought of as the definitive Doctor. Peter Davison is thought of as the definitive. Tom Baker is the definitive Doctor as like when it comes to the original series. If you're going into the new series, then it's David Tennant, who's the definitive like Doctor of the new series. I don't see a bad Doctor. I haven't seen a bad Doctor yet. I've seen bad stories that each of the Doctors had to struggle to get through. Some of the late John Nathan Turner stuff done with Tom Baker was pretty bad. But then it comes into the last season that he does. I guess the 7th season he did was actually incredible. Well, it was just really coming back. We get the E-Space trilogy during that time period. Anyway, Sylvester McCoy comes in. He's a bit of a clown, and His first series as the Doctor is not the greatest. He's got Bonnie Langford. She's she's famous. She's the first kind of like famous person like to really be like a side character, a companion. She's a really first like really famous, and a lot of people didn't think that she could do it. There was a lot of like kind of a lot of they got a lot of heat for casting Bonnie Langford, and exactly, and she did the best that she could with the material that she was given, which was basically, unfortunately, hey, scream a lot, and but after that, they cast another girl as companion, Ace, which was a 17-year-old Sophie Aldred, and she was perfect, cast. And around that time, Andrew Cartmel came into the show. He was writing stories for Doctor Who, and he had a way to revitalize the series. I hear that a lot, by the way, Murdersville. I actually hear that a lot. Actually, Colin Baker was in an episode of Blake 7, actually. I got it over there. But Andrew Cartmel made the Doctor a bit more mysterious and a bit darker and a bit more manipulative, and it really, really worked. And it was going really well, and then he canceled the show in 1989. In 1989, I also graduated from high school, and and I mentioned this on here before, I actually did a video about this. I had the choice to go into journalism, which was, was only a few hours away from where I lived, and it was like a university, or I could go to Ontario and go into acting, which I wanted to do. And it was at the point where I said, I had goals, I had a checklist, I had a bucket list of things I wanted to do. And one of them was, I want to act on Doctor Who at some point. I want to be a character, I want to act on Doctor Who. And in 1989, they canceled Doctor Who. And in 1989, I said, it hurt, it hit me hard. I was a fan, I'm not a fan, I was a fan whose life was changed by this decision. With the road not taken, I could have went into acting, and I went into journalism. And a large part of that was because I was really bothered by the fact that I did not think I'd ever be able to act in Doctor Who. As silly as that sounds, it meant a lot to me. Now, Doctor Who was actually an original idea. It was created by a Canadian, actually, that was part of the drama department. And there's actually a great documentary, great like fictionalized film called Adventures in Space and Time. I recommend checking it out. It's about the making of like the creation of Doctor Who. David Bradley actually plays William Hartnell in it, and he does a really great, really touching job. As we see, like William Hartnell as an actor that was a famous English actor. He did like the first Carry On film, and he played a lot of older characters in his career. Like you get these actors that they'll play younger, but no, he's one of those guys who usually played older. He played a lot of army sergeants and stuff like that, right? There is Doctor Who comics. They're originally the Doctor Who comics came from the Doctor Who magazine. Marvel, after what Marvel did, their own Doctor Who comic back in the 70s. That was with Tom Baker. Now, Doctor Who comics are being done like, Neil Adams' son, for instance, did some Doctor Who comics. I met him too. I did some Doctor Who comics. So we got like the kind of a picture of Matt Smith somewhere, done by Neil Adams' son. I can't remember his name. I really apologize. And it says basically, that famous line, if you've ever seen the new stuff, I'm a madman with a box. Anyway, in 1996, he made the TV movie with Paul McGann. Paul McGann was a great doctor, but there's some iffy things in it, like all of a sudden the doctor's half human, and the master's being played by Eric Roberts, and the Daleks are there, but they don't sound at all like the Daleks, so even if you're a fan of the show, you don't really realize that you're listening to the Daleks, and they're left off screen. And the doctor is killed by gangland violence, and that's how he's regenerated. So there's some questionable things, but Paul McGann's portrayal of Doctor was amazing. Unfortunately, he wouldn't get to play the Doctor again until he did like a short, until Big Finish Audio, and then like on TV, you would get to do it during a kind of a short that they did. Anyway, they brought Doctor Who back as a short thing for like kind of like the comic relief thing they do over in Children Need that they do over in England, and they had Stephen Moffat like working on it. This is a name that's going to come up again, and it was Curse of the Fatal Death. And Rowan Atkinson plays Doctor Who. Did you really? That was awesome, too. And of course, a bunch of people play Doctor Who. Hugh Grant plays Doctor Who. Jim Broadbent plays Doctor Who. Joanna Lumley plays Doctor Who, and which is really kind of comical because Joanna Lumley was one of the actresses that was thought of, like whose name, because people think Doctor Who's a girl now on the show, right? But people think that's a new thing. But over the years, right, there was many times that they thought about like casting a female in the role of the Doctor. And Joanna Lumley's name used to keep coming up, and she used to keep saying no to it. But she did it for this like Children Need special. It was really cool, really well done. If you ever get a chance to check it out, it's really funny. You don't even have to know Doctor Who to enjoy it. It's called Curse of the Fatal Death, and I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. Then after that, the show was brought back by Russell T Davies, who I guess was most famous at that point for doing a show that I really like called Queer as Folk, which I thought was a fantastic series. Now, he took over as Doctor Who, took over the show of Doctor Who, and the person that he cast in the role was Christopher Eccleston. Hey, indie fan, how's it going, man? It's in Amazon Prime Day. Christopher Eccleston was amazing in the role of the Doctor. He got to do a lot of the stuff that people had previously wanted to do. Colin Baker had wanted to wear like a black style outfit. Christopher Eccleston wore a black leather jacket. He was the first Doctor. Paul McGann wanted to have like short cropped hair. Christopher Eccleston had basically almost short cropped, almost shaved hair, and he was fabulous in the role of the Doctor. He was incredible. He only played him for one series. Then he left, and because he said, I'm done. I did the Doctor. I brought it back. I brought it back well. Go on with it. And then came David Tennant, an actor that was primarily known for more romantic roles. Although for me, I guess Secret Smile was the miniseries that I knew him for most. And Secret Smile is just one of those ones that I really like, and I watch it over and over again because it's good. When David Tennant goes dark, he's really freaking good at going dark and playing bad characters. In Secret Smile, he's really bad. He's a bad guy. He's like a stalker and a killer, and it's a really cool, well done thing. I recommend it. Anyway, so David Tennant takes over the role of the Doctor, and he pretty much makes it about as famous as it can get since the Tom Baker era. He does that. He's the more romantic, the more dashing, I guess the better looking Doctor, and there's more of like you get this sort of like romance between him and Rose, and it is like it's pretty cool. It's pretty brilliant. Then after that, we get another youthful Doctor, the most youthful Doctor of all, the youngest Doctor ever, and that is, well, it's Matt Smith, and Matt Smith comes in to take over as. Yes, yeah. David Tennant played an amazing bad guy. He was the Purple Man on Jessica Jones. He was incredibly good in that. So Matt Smith comes over, takes over the role. Brings in the best companion of the new series, alongside Donna Noble, which is like, anyway, best companion in the new series, and she's ginger. And after that, we get after he leaves, we get Peter Capaldi, who brings back to the old school style Doctor Who. He goes really old school with it, and you're getting like a lot of classic Doctor type of stuff, a lot of darker, more mysterious Cartmel plan style Doctor. That's what you're getting with him. And then, last but not least, right now, going into her second serial, and the first female to play the role of the Doctor is Judy Whittaker, who was one of the leads on Broadchurch, and impressed me a lot on Broadchurch, actually. Because her character had to kind of run the emotional gamut on that series, like throughout the series. there's a scene in the pilot episode, the first episode of Broadchurch, where Judy Whittaker's character is driving, and basically her son kind of hasn't come home type of thing, but she's not thinking too much of it, and the road is gridlocked pretty much, like by this beach. The road is really gridlocked, and she gets out of her car. She sees like police, and she gets out of her car, and she goes and she runs down along the beach, and the realization, the slow realization, like as it starts to hit her, that the reason all these cars are stopped, the reason that that's the body that she's going to see, that's under that tarp, that's under that blanket, that's her son. That's her son that's dead under there. And as that realization sinks in, you see her go from like just this normal character to a woman that is utterly destroyed. And it is a genius bit of acting. If you've never seen it, I definitely recommend it. And why did I say all this? Well, basically, why did I rant for 40 minutes on Doctor Who? Because right now, the Doctor Who is on sale on Amazon CA during the Prime sale. And I cannot afford to buy it right now. And I really want it. I really want it. And it hit me hard. It really did. You did, didn't you? You got Halloween 2 and 3 steelbooks during the day. Let's just look at that. So are these still available? Were those the Scream Factory ones? They did have season 1, but it's out of stock right now. It's temporarily out of stock, they say. I'm not sure. So yeah, so the steelbooks, the Scream Factory steelbooks that he's talking about right there, are on sale. They're limited edition steelbooks, by the way. They're $19.99, and they're pretty freaking gorgeous. I really love number 2. What's number 3 is cool as well. And yeah, so the steelbook for Season of the Witch right now, by the way, guys, the Halloween 3 steelbook, which you just mentioned, is $14.99. Just like let that sink in for a second. A Scream Factory edition, a Scream Factory steelbook of Halloween 3. I think Scream Factory. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's Universal. Whoever does it. Anyway, it's cool. Halloween 3 is $14.99. So that's pretty awesome. There's a lot of really good stuff going on during this sale. Has anybody picked up, like in particular, that they're super stoked about or that they're excited about getting? Apparently, I don't think I'm getting anything. I dropped hints to my better half about the Doctor Who, but she's like, unfortunately, it's a little bit tight right now. We can't afford it. And my heart sunk a bit because I really wanted it. So let's look and see what's on sale right now on the Batman 4K set. Oh, really? Let me check. See what the pricing on that one is. So when you say the Batman 4K, so are we talking about the classic Batman, or are we talking about the Christopher Nolan? So looks like the Christopher Nolan Batman is $59, which is a really good price actually. I paid more for it than that. I wish it was the classic ones. Those are the ones that I want. Because I got the Nolan set. But if you don't have it, then yeah, definitely pick it up. Like as you guys know, I ragged on some of the Nolan films a bit, but I own them. I have them in my collection, and I'm proud I do. They do sell them for ridiculous prices. That's the killer part. Like, for instance, I got like Terror Train and all that back there with their slips and stuff like that. And it's going for insane prices. Like, come on. I mean, Scorpion's putting out their own version of Terror Train. But they're still, trust me, people have the Scorpion edition of Terror Train and they'll be like, no, we got to grab the other one as well. Because, All right, so there is some, looks like there's some 4K deals and steals here, but let's look at the movies and TV shows that are on. Okay, yes, right now, Tales from the Dark Side. If you don't have that series, which you should, by the way, just putting it out there, just sliding it in there. You should have that. It's a great anthology series. It's $20, $20 for Tales from the Dark Side. No, it'll still be expensive. You know why it'll be expensive? Because people want that stupid slip, man. That's why. That's why all these are expensive, because you want that slip. If you're a big Brady Bunch fan, you get the whole Brady Bunch series for $28, which was around like $70 here at Walmart. So that's actually a good price. If you're a huge Deep Space Nine fan, I'm Amazon CA, man, because I'm in Canada. I don't shop from Amazon.com. You know, shipping gonna cost me a bit too much. So I'm going to Amazon CA. And if it's good for you, Murdersville, because you know what? You're in the UK, and CA, that's way cheaper because your British pound more than our American or Canadian dollar. So you're getting an even better deal. So you got like the Star Trek Deep Space Nine, the complete series, $69. Good price for that, because that usually runs around 120 or so. Sabrina the Teenage Witch running at $23. Complete series Columbus, $35. You can buy Mork and Mindy the complete series for $23. Penny Dreadful for $22. Incredible. Oh man, don't remind me. I am hoping that Brexit. Oh, nice. You married Canadian. I married Moroccan. We both married outside of our country. Was the first one, Tales from the Dark Side. It was like an anthology series that came on, like George Romero and like a bunch of people that like worked in the show. Tales from the Dark Side would spawn things like Monster. Have you ever seen Tales from the Dark Side? Like there's a movie too, like Tales from the Dark Side, the movie. Creep Show. Like, remember those Creep Show movies that came out? Like the first two, don't forget the third one, that's utter crap. But the first two Creep Show movies, Tales from the Dark Side, the TV series, is pretty much the original Creep Show TV series. It's done pretty much with most of the same people that worked on Creep Show. And its unofficial title was Creep Show the series. They just couldn't use it. But yeah, that's Tales from Dark Side, actually a really cool show. Seen Creep Show and Buy the Bags, then you should own Tales from Dark Side. Hold on. I just gotta go to the next room. Must have it upstairs somewhere. But I got Tales from the Dark Side of the series. I was going to show you. actually. Kind of bummed about that. Sorry about that. But Tales from Dark Side, I definitely recommend it, dude. Really cool show with a lot of people behind it. Yeah. The Creepshow 2 is one with the it's called The Raft, the story. It's a Stephen King story. Well, all Creepshow. But you know what I mean. It's kind of The Raft. Perry Mason is on sale for 90 bucks. If that may seem like a lot for a TV show to you, but Perry Mason, that lasted forever, man. That was a long ongoing show. There's a ton of shows here, guys, that I'd kill for. You can get the Twilight Zone complete series on Blu-ray for $45 here. The complete Night Gallery series is $24. Wow. There's just so much here, guys. I mean, like if you're a fan of like TV, if you're a fan of like, they even have the new Twilight Zone series, the kind of the '80s one here. But yeah, Boardwalk Empire's on here for $37. Star Trek Voyager, if you're a fan of that, is $66.99. Cubic Club. You got the same one I got, right? The one that's the cube with the Twilight Zone comic book. Like that's the one I would not sell. That one, that's worth its weight in gold to me. I just love that. I love that Twilight Zone box set. It's amazing. Freddy's Nightmares. There's issues, unfortunately, stopping Freddy's Nightmares, but I would love to see that get like a release. So yeah, Perry Mason, which is around $180 to buy normally, is 90 bucks right now. And it is massive. The amount of sets since you got the bootleg. If you ever get the chance to pick up the cube, it's really cool. Like I definitely recommend it. Oh really? Almost even in the Violent Professionals. I haven't even looked into most of the. I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. I have not looked into most of the movies as of yet. I've basically just been looking at like the TV stuff because I find that a lot of the bestios comes from the television stuff. Oh, Merz, thanks for coming in, dude. I really appreciate it. A bootleg Freddy's Nightmares. Yeah, that's the only way you can get it, unfortunately, through nefarious purposes, as I like to say. Let's see if I can find you some horror here, though. So you got the other set that came out then of. You don't even have horror written down. You just got like thriller and science fiction and stuff. You don't have horror written down there at all. You just got to go through, I guess, and see what you can find. That's the thing. You got to keep going through, and but there is a ton of stuff to look into, a ton of stuff to check out. This is probably gonna be one of my short videos tonight. I do apologize, but basically I'm just kind of like a little spacey. A few decent bootlegs. Werewolf. Oh, John J. York, right? Good versus Evil. I remember that show. Extreme Rule. Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. So apparently, I didn't watch Extreme Rules. Just to let you know that, right? I'm just qualifying that. I read the results. I said, well, that sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty good. That's not bad. And I got to the end of the show. Zombie knows what I'm talking about. And then it said, and then Brock Lesnar cashed in his briefcase and beat Seth Rollins, and Brock Lesnar is now the new champion of the WWE, of Raw. And Aaron's said, I am now officially completely checked out from the WWE. That sucks. If you're a wrestling fan, people always rag on Bischoff, right? Bischoff's got the WCW, and who later go on TNA, who for having over-reliance on using Hulk Hogan, right? He said, "Oh, well, Bischoff is Hulk Hogan's like attached to Bischoff. Bischoff only does what Hulk Hogan says." That type of thing. You've heard it, right? If you've watched wrestling, you heard it, right? Paul Heyman, ECW, did great stuff with ECW, by the way. Paul Heyman is given the book. He's executive producer, old school term, given the book. He's executive director of Raw. And Paul Heyman's good friends with Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar, who used to be in the UFC, who now is not, basically, and Brock is back as the lead, as the champion. Brock Lesnar is not a guy that regularly wrestles on the show. He has like a limited engagement contract where basically he wrestles some big shows and he comes every once in a while to some TV tapings, but he's not a regular. He's got a really cushy contract, and I understand it for back in the day, in a time when WWE was struggling, and they wanted some credibility going up against things like UFC and stuff like that. But right now, have a good evening there. Putting Brock Lesnar back as champion is so counterproductive to what they should be doing within the programming. It makes no sense. The reason that Vince McMahon is pushing to like revitalize the programs because they've been doing so bad recently. Of course they're planned out. Think of wrestling as like a male soap opera. Soap opera with a lot of guys that are really muscular. That's what wrestling is like, and that's not insulting at all. I'm a huge wrestling fan, but that's kind of what it is. But the thing is, you want to have that air of like unpredictability on your program. The youth, AEW, exactly, and they should be going. They should be booking right now. They should be booking towards, AEW is a youthful company. It's done by by Cody Rhodes and Young Bucks and guys like that, and they're putting off this amazing wrestling product, and it is dealing a lot with wrestling. They take their tag team seriously. It's something WWE hasn't done. I don't know since how long, Hartford Nation days maybe, but they should be looking at these other companies, and they should be saying, okay, maybe it's time to look at what we're doing, because we're not doing very well, and see why that is, and see why this small company that's starting out with a lot of money, by the way, are getting people talking, getting people excited again. When our product isn't getting people excited, it isn't getting people talking, at least not in a good way. So they should be thinking, like, what can we do? And I thought, putting Bischoff on, like giving him SmackDown, giving Paul Heyman Raw, that was a great step moving forward. Great steps, like some fantastic stuff. It did used to be so much better, man. The Attitude Era, right? And you got to remember, like the Attitude Era was like stolen from ECW. We know that. ECW did Attitude before Attitude was around. Shane used to watch a lot of the ECW stuff. Vince Russo probably watched a bunch of that stuff. But here's the problem, and this is the problem. And Vince gives them the freedom, but I don't believe Vince is the orchestrator behind Brock Lesnar winning last night. I don't. I think that's pure Paul Heyman, and Paul, you let me down, man. You're the guy that said you would go to TNA. You would go to TNA if, and only if, you could use all those young stars, all those young guys that had so much promise, and you were going to let every other veteran star go but one. You could have one veteran star, but you really wanted to focus on the young guys, right? You really wanted to focus on the young guys. That was your plan. That was your architect for TNA. My oldest, when I was young, when she was young, used to call me Big Daddy Cool, actually, because I was the dad. I was tall. I was taller. But that was the name. That's the nickname. And She was a wrestling fan. Both my kids are wrestling fans. Tonight's Raw is very seminal. So if you're a fan of wrestling at all and you have any thoughts that WWE can pull it off, this Raw and this SmackDown are going to be seminal for what's going forward. Because before Extreme Rules, there was portions. Yeah, I did. Actually, I saw that. But there were portions of like the show that were slightly touched on by Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff. Tonight, it's pure Heyman and it's pure Bischoff. Do I watch any sports apart from wrestling? I watch football, well, soccer, I guess you call it. The women's match was amazing. When the U.S. team won, holy crap. I usually watch the World Cup. I don't watch so much anymore, but I used to watch a lot of like hockey when I was growing up. I'm like the Gretzky Lemieux era of hockey. If you know hockey, then you're gonna know what era that is. I haven't watched much cricket. I'll be honest with you. I know cricket from Doctor Who and seeing Peter Davison wearing the outfit, but I haven't watched a lot of cricket, and I should. I mean, like I used to watch a bit of back in the heyday of like of basketball. I used to watch that. Give us my thoughts. Oh, you asked that question before, didn't you? 3 from Hell trailer. All right, here we go. So Rob Zombie dropped the complete 3 from Hell trailer. We had a bit of a teaser before, but we got a complete trailer now on 3 from Hell. And I'll be honest, it's exactly what I expected it to be, with a bit more. When Rob Zombie is doing something like the Firefly Family, or when he's doing Lords of Salem, and when he's not doing Halloween, okay? Rob Zombie's comfortable in this world. He knows he's created this world. He knows it well. He's honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not a hater. He's crafted it well. The Firefly films have been very good. House of Corpses was okay. I don't think it was great, but I think it was okay, and it was a nice first step for a first-time director. A lot of homages to other films. That's what you're gonna have. You do what affects you the most, right? Then came Devil's Rejects, which I thought was an incredible film, and it was so much better than House of Corpses. Yeah, it was really good. And then he made this Lords of Salem, which I thought was amazing, and he made 2 really crappy Halloween films. And he made a really, really bad film called 31, which had like 10 minutes in it that was good, that had a certain actor. You know who it is. But this looks like a return to form, to exactly what you want from like Rob Zombie, like has done well. It is Rob Zombie's Natural Born Killers. Like, it's definitely Rob Zombie's Natural Born Killers. That's 3 from Hell. There's a lot of feeling of that. Of Natural Born Killers when I'm watching that trailer, 3 from Hell. Obviously, gonna be very different, very more raw, very more visceral, like even more so than that. And who was the luchador mask guy? Because all I could think of was, because I remember Rob Zombie made this like cartoon film called The Haunted World of El Bisto, Super El Bisto, something like that. Wasn't the greatest. You can pass that one up, probably, guys. But it's time waster. But there's this like luchador character in 3 from Hell, and every time it comes on the screen, I'm like, I'm all in, because if you guys don't know, I'm a huge El Santo fan, and I'm a huge luchador fan. You guys know I'm a huge wrestling fan. I got like I got luchador masks in my other room. If you've seen me in what I call my secret room over there, I got a couple luchador masks that I have for like Halloween, and I got them up in Montreal Comic Con, and they're actually real good, really well done luchador masks. One of them is El Mystico, actually, who would go on to be Sin Cara, well, the first Sin Cara in WWE. The kind of the blue one, and I got like kind of a black kind of Bane style luchador mask, which is actually pretty cool as well. I almost ran out and got them again, but the last time I ran to go try and grab something, like 5 people left my channel. So I'm not going to do that again. So you won't see the mask tonight, but I'll promise I'll bring it in a future video. But 3 from Hell, I thought the trailer looked really good. And I do think it's like, this looks like a huge step up from 31. He's back in familiar territory. He's got, you know, he's got his comfy shoes on. He's ready to make something. He's ready to dive back to the Firefly family. And there are going to be people that are going to complain because Sherry Moon Zombie. They're going to complain about Sherry Moon Zombie because they always do. I have nothing bad to say about Sherry Moon Zombie. I think that she's done great in the character. Yes, Spotting wasn't in as much, but then again, they could be tricking you though, you know, too with that. I don't know if we'll see a 4th. We may see a majority of these characters cut off this time around. Like, let's face it, like in Devil's Rejects, it looked like you killed him off anyway. Like, just look, there's that like bullets, like kind of the Sam Peckinpah-esque style ending for Devil's Rejects. That's used, right? That was like that was a huge thing. That was a big deal. Anyway, guys, at 66 minutes. One was 666. Well, it's gone past 666 now. I think I'm gonna end tonight's movie library session, and we'll be coming back. We are going to be talking about some film noir. I got a film noir episode coming up. I got a superhero movie coming up. I wish. I got a superhero episode coming up. I got a lot of stuff coming up. I got some director-centric videos. We're going to talk about a lot of different stuff. Make sure, like, if you're not like a lot of the guys on here, like Kubrick Lover and guys like that, all have like channels. Make sure you check out their channels. They have some great channels on here. Don't worry, Javid, I did not forget. And that is the next video I'm doing, I promise you. Make sure, if you have not checked out Just the Discs podcast or Pure Cinema podcast, they're doing it. Brian, Steph, Michelle, Elric, amazing stuff that they're putting up. Rob, they're doing some amazing stuff there. And I was talking to Brian last night, so we're just trying to get together and like think about what we want to do for the next like Vinegar Syndrome episode of Just to This podcast. So we'll when we get there, I'll let you guys know ahead of time when it's coming out, and I'll let you know when it drops. All right. So thank you so much for watching. I am Aaron. For me, it is time for tea. You guys are the movie club. You guys are awesome. You rock tonight, and thanks for like for helping pick me up when I've been a little down and a little sad about the sale. Talk to you soon. Have a great evening.